Good evening to all of you. Welcome to the explanation session of model tests, SBI Clerk Mains 14635, RBI Assistants Mains 7642. Before we go to the questions, let us spend a few minutes on analysis of model test 14635. Here you can see the areas, how many areas have been touched, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is a very tough paper in my opinion, and you're going to learn about 100 words. I repeat, you're going to learn about how many words? 100 words. And I'm going to do the explanation first. After that, I will take a break for 5 minutes. After the break, I'm going to give the meanings of all the words, 100 words. And while explaining, I will tell the meanings. You can listen, get the meanings. Now let us have a look at the first 5 questions. The first 5 questions deal with errors. And these questions are not easy, not the regular pattern, a new pattern. You may ask, sir, how are these new? How are they different? Here you see 5 parts of a sentence, and you find errors in 3 parts. Only one part is correct. You have to identify that part. The next 5 questions deal with phrase replacement. These are very easy. You can get all the 5 correct. But error location, you have to read the sentence, you have to find the errors in 3 parts. That is difficult and time-taking. The next 5 questions deal with scrambled sentences. Scrambled means what? They take one sentence, they shuffle the words, and you have to get the correct order. These are moderate, time-taking. But you can answer 2 or 3, not more than that. Passage. Passage is the toughest passage in my opinion, even for those with science background. The passage is all about the impact of caffeine on the nervous system, and it is all about enzymes and the chemicals, the impact of these chemicals on neurons or the nervous system. In my opinion, this is a very tough passage. It is very difficult to read and understand or comprehend within the stipulated time period of 8 minutes or 10 minutes. That is the time you can allot for the passage. Then you have, but in this passage, there are 4 questions related to meanings of words based on the context. You can answer all the 4 questions, minimum 4 assured from the passage. But questions related to comprehension are very difficult. Cloze test, again 10 questions are there, not that difficult. You should get 7 or 8, should not be a problem. Again, the last one, scrambled phrases, not words, phrases. You see lengthy sentences. In each sentence, you see 3 phrases in bold. They are not in the correct order. You should get the correct order. So this is the paper, the analysis. In my opinion, this paper, your good score is 20 plus. It is a tough paper, difficult paper, and time-taking paper. If you get 20 plus, you should be extremely happy. Now let us have a look at the first 5 questions. What do they deal with? Error location. These are difficult. Here you can make out difficult and time-taking. You can answer 2 or 3. I will read the instructions, then we'll go to the questions. In each of the questions given below, a sentence is given which is then divided into 5 parts, out of which the last part is correct. There is an error in 3 parts of the sentence, and only 1 part is correct. You have to choose the correct part as your answer. As I said, all these are time-taking. First, I will read out the sentence. The importance of cooperation among the executive and the judiciary in dealing with the unacceptably higher number of pending cases in the country cannot be overemphasized. For over a year, there were indications of an impasse over judicial appointments between the 2 branches of the state, mainly after the Supreme Court struck up legislation to establish a National Judicial Appointments Commission. Here the last part is correct. You don't have to touch that. Now the parts. We'll take each part and we'll look for the error. Some of these are rather easy, but do remember, under pressure, easy ones also tend to look difficult. The importance of cooperation among the executive and the judiciary. Here, there are 2 things. One is executive, the other one is judiciary. When we talk about 2 things or 2 persons, we cannot use among, we should use between. So, where is the error? The first part, among is not correct, it should be between. the unacceptably higher number of pending cases. Here we are not comparing, so we cannot use a comparative form. There is an error here. It is not higher, it is high number of. The unacceptably, this is an adverb, nothing wrong with this. The unacceptably high number of pending cases, there's an error in the second part. In the country cannot be overemphasized. For over a year, there were indications of an impasse, means something like a block, over judicial appointments between the two branches of the state, mainly after the Supreme Court struck up legislation to establish. Struck up is not correct. It should be strike off. Strike off, struck off. So there is an error in the first part, an error in the second part, an error in the fourth part. So what is the answer here? The third part is without any error. There were indications, plural, the helping verb to be in the plural form. There were indications of an impasse, means a deadlock, over judicial appointments between the two. Not an easy one. Question number 52. Freud had a variety of influences on psychology, psychiatry, anthropology, history, and literary studies, but his most important contribution was probably the simple claim that many of our behaviors are motivated by unconscious, often unpleasant desires. Sigmund Freud, considered the father of psychology. There is one book, in fact, Introduction to Psychology. You take any book, Introduction to Psychology, the first chapter talks about Sigmund Freud. In fact, he worked on dreams, the impact of dreams, why we get dreams, all those things. And this sentence is all about Sigmund Freud's contribution. Freud had a variety of influences on psychology, had in the past, so nothing wrong with that. It goes into the past. Psychology, nothing wrong. Psychiatry, nothing wrong. Anthropology. Anthropos means man, mankind. Pology, scientific study. Anthropology, scientific study of mankind, not only the modern times, the primitive times and the modern times. Historical perspective, holistic perspective. History, nothing wrong. And literary studies, nothing wrong with this expression. But his most important contribution, nothing wrong with that phrase, was probably past, no problem. The simple claim that many of our behaviors are motivated. This is a fact. Motivated by unconscious. Our behaviors are motivated by unconscious. So here, the sentence, all the parts are correct. Nothing wrong with the sentence. Answer is the fifth option. All are correct. Often unpleasant, motivated by unconscious, often unpleasant desires. That part is missing here. Unconscious desires. The answer, question number 52. All are correct. Question number 53. Importance for citizen consideration today is the fact that the Supreme Court, in deciding upon the unconstitutionality of Section 377, recognized that the four corners of the Constitution rest on a social reality steeped in prejudice, stereotypes, parochialism, bigotry, social exclusion, and segregation. Not easy to understand. The context is not easy, but you should use your grammar knowledge. Importance for citizen. Citizen is not correct. It should be citizenship. What is the right word here? Importance for citizenship consideration today is the fact that the Supreme Court, in deciding upon, here we don't have to use the word upon, in deciding the unconstitutionality of Section 377, recognized that the four corner is not correct, it should be corners, of the Constitution rest on a social reality steeped in. Steeped means stayed in. Steep has different meanings. One meaning steep means sharp. It goes with steep increase. It goes with prices. It goes with valleys, mountains. Steep, one meaning sharp. Here, stay in, soak in, placed in. Steeped in, prejudice. That's an important word. Prejudice means bias. Don't worry about the meanings after the first part. Today you're going to have part 1, part 2, because so many words are there. Listen, try to remember, otherwise also no problem. After explaining the entire paper, I'm going to allot 30 minutes to tell the meanings and combinations and examples of about 100 words. Prejudice, bias. Stereotype has got two different meanings. One meaning of stereotype, it means widely held belief. That's what it means. And another meaning, same. When it comes to actors, some actors have the same style. Then we say stereotype acting. Then parochialism means narrow outlook. Parochialism, an important word, narrow outlook. Bigotry, this is also an important word. It means intolerance towards others' beliefs. Others, everyone has a right to have a particular belief, and someone cannot tolerate others' beliefs, intolerance towards others' beliefs. We use the word bigotry. Now here, where is the error? Citizen is not correct, it should be citizenship. Upon should not be there. Corner is not correct, it should be corners. 1, 2, 3 errors are there. Answer is the fourth part. Fourth part, there is no error. Question number 54. A hike on the RBI's benchmark interest rates could stem the capital exodus, but with core inflation picking up and the government keen in a rate cut as a growth catalyst, the RBI has an unenviable dilemma on its hands. The context is related to RBI. Let us have a look at the parts. A hike. Hike means increase. A hike on the RBI's benchmark interest. On is not correct, it should be in. A hike in the rates, a hike in interest rates. A hike in the RBI's benchmark interest rates could stem. Could stem means to come from. Stem from means to come from. The capital or to result in. The capital exodus. This is an important word. Today it is in the limelight. Exodus means migration of people, mass migration of people, or migration of people on a large scale from one country to another country. Today, if you take the Syrian crisis, because of the Syrian crisis, a lot of people are migrating from Syria to many European countries on huge numbers. Then we use the word exodus. But with core inflation picking up and the government, capital exodus, but with core inflation picking up and the government keen in is not correct, it should be on. On a rate cut as a growth catalyst, the RBI has, A is not correct, it should be an unenviable, whatever it is. What is a part, one word is missing, I suppose. Unenviable dilemma on its hands. Dilemma means a state of confusion, to do or not to do. There's nothing wrong with the last part. Coming to, first part, in is correct. Second part, I don't see any error. Third part, in is not correct, it should be on. There it is in, here it is on. And here it is quite obvious, has an unenviable, not a, unenviable. So what is correct? Let me see the question, some problem is there. A hike in the RBI's benchmark interest rates could stem the capital exodus, but with core inflation picking up and the government keen on a rate cut as a growth catalyst, the RBI has an unenviable dilemma on its hands. In the question, I see only 4 parts. Based on this, there is no error when it comes to the fourth part, steeped in. This part, there is no error as such. Steeped in what? Steeped in prejudice, stereotypes, parochialism, and bigotry. Question number 55. The genealogy of Ambedkar's signposting at constitutional morality may be traced to the strength of anti-caste resistance and the abolition of untouchability. It is from this context that constitutional wisdom was applied from analogous situations of oppressions based on sexuality. What are the parts? The last part is correct, so we don't have to touch that one. The genealogy. Genealogy means the descent, the line of heredity of Ambedkar's signposting. It is not signposting, it should be signpost. At constitutional morality, maybe trace is not correct, it should be maybe traced to the strength of anti-caste resistance and the abolition of untouchability. It is from this context that constitutional wisdom was applied. Applied from is not correct. Applied to analogous situations. Abolish means what? To bring something to an end. Abolition, noun form. Abolish, verb. To bring something to an end, to end something. Analogous, comparable. Applied to. So there is an error in the first part. There is an error in the second part. There is an error in the fourth part. The part without any error, the third part. That is the answer. All these are really quite interesting and challenging. Why are they challenging? You have to answer within a few minutes. That is not easy. One error you can manage, but all those questions they deal with, each question you have to read a lengthy sentence, and 4 parts, the last part is correct. One part, there is an error, there is no error. Other parts, errors are there. It takes a lot of time, and once you panic, you cannot answer. Please remember, all these are new patterns. When I talk about new patterns, I tell my students, new patterns, they have been giving new patterns since 2016. It was started by SBI, and it has been going on since then. The new patterns are nothing but, I usually say, old wine in a new bottle. Old wine in a new bottle. They test the same knowledge. Knowledge doesn't change. Grammar, it is always the same grammar rules. But the way of asking, the format is different, the models are different. Here, when they give new patterns, knowledge is the same, testing is the same. But 2 things change. One is, in the past, they would give short sentences. Now they are giving lengthy sentences. That means you have to spend more time taking. In the past, they would give familiar context. Now they are giving unfamiliar context. Then you are under stress. They test your stress levels, and also they test how fast you can read, how fast you can comprehend. And once you panic, it doesn't work. You cannot read properly. You cannot get the answers. So whenever you come across a new pattern or something that looks like a new pattern, do remember, don't panic. Tell yourself they're testing the same knowledge. Only thing I have to read quickly and meticulously. Then read the question. You will be able to get the correct answer. Now, the next 5 questions related to phrase replacement. Phrase or one word, rather. Easy. You can easily answer 4 or 5. I will not be surprised if you say, sir, I got all the 5 correct, but you should get 4 correct. Let me read the instructions. Which of the following phrases given against each sentence can replace the phrase given in bold in the sentence grammatically and contextually? If none of the phrases can replace the word or phrase given in bold in the sentence, select none as your answer. Usually, phrase replacement, in my opinion, rather difficult. But today, this paper, the phrase replacement questions are very easy. Besides, I will read out the first question related to phrase replacement. Question number 56. Besides making sanitation a movement through the provision of well-designed toilets and behavior change in rural India, the SBM Swachh Bharat mission should have a broader vision of what constitutes cleanliness. Perhaps the sentence says, the Swachh Bharat mission has a narrow vision. It should have a broader vision. Broader vision. Broader is an adjective and vision is a noun. Now you have to select a phrase with the similar meaning. You can replace. Broader, what is the other word for broader? Extensive, exhaustive, wide, covering everything. The first option seems right. An extensive vision. Narrow is not acceptable. It should be wide, broader, extensive. Habitual vision. Vision, here it talks about broad, narrow, wide. Habitual doesn't go with this context. Out of context, reject that one. Alternative. It does not talk about alternative. It talks about a broader vision. Alternative is not acceptable in this context. Based on that, what is the answer? Only the first one is correct. Which option says? Third option is the answer. Should have. SBM should have a broader vision or should have an extensive vision. Extensive, you also use the word exhaustive. Remember that word also. This is rather easy. Question number 57. The reason for deterioration of loans could be the impact of key judicial decisions like abrupt cancellations of coal mines and spectrum allocation. There's one word here, abrupt. Abrupt means what? Sudden. Abrupt means sudden. The reason for deterioration. Deterioration is a negative word. Deterioration of loans could be. For bewitching. Bewitching means enchanting, luring, attracting. Not relevant here. The context is negative. Bewitching is a positive word you cannot consider. Enchanting, that's a good word, a positive word. For declining, a negative word, hold this one. In captivating. Captivating has two different meanings. One meaning is positive, the other meaning is negative. What is a positive meaning? When it comes to stories, when it comes to novels, or when it comes to movies also, we use the expression captivating, means interesting. It catches your interest, your attention. Captivating story, captivating plot. But another meaning, captivity, means in cage, captivating, a different meaning altogether. So it is not relevant in this context. The answer for declining, the reason for declining of loans, the reason for deterioration of loans. The second option is correct. Which option says that? The second option says the same thing. This is easy. Question number 58. In the environment of competition, the IMF will have to do more, will have to do. Remember that expression, an important expression. More than just superficially tinker with its asymmetric power structure and outdated quota system. In the environment of competition, the sentence talks about the situation, competitive situation. The IMF will have to. Have to talks about an obligation imposed by a situation or by an external authority. Here it is a situation, competitive situation, and will talks about the future. Will have to do more than just superficially tinker. Tinker means spill, spread, with its asymmetric power structure and outdated quota system. Outdated, easy to understand. It means old-fashioned, no longer in use. Mustered. Muster means to gather, to assemble. Two different meanings, not relevant here. Panhandling means begging in streets, not at all relevant in this context. Old-fashioned, outdated, old-fashioned, no longer appealing, no longer in use. So what is the answer? The third option is the answer. Which option says that? The first option is the answer. This is also rather easy. Outdated lifestyle, outdated views, typical combinations. Question number 59. A robust mechanism that actually helps farmers get the declared MSP for a crop is being pursued through a price deficiency payment scheme and a private procurement plan. Being pursued, being considered, being followed, pursue. Try to do something, follow your dreams, pursue your dreams. A typical expression, pursue your dreams, follow your dreams. Being pursued, being followed, this seems right. Being entangled. Entangle usually goes with a net. Fish get entangled in a net and you cannot come out of that entangled situation. To be tangled in a problematic situation, not relevant here. Being authorized. This doesn't talk about authorization or giving the right. So what is the answer based on that? Being pursued means being followed. First option. That means the fourth option is the answer. This is also rather easy. Question number 60. India's full panoply of interventions, a range of interventions, invariably justified as being pro-poor, have not only not spread human capital, but they have also not been able to, not only not, two negative expressions, but also not being able to prevent a growing income inequality. They could not stop. Prevent means what? To stop. To preclude. This is not an easy word. Hold that one. Imagine you don't know the meaning. Hold that one. In spoiling. To prevent, spoil, not related. At detaining. Detain goes with the police department. They detain the suspects. Detain means what? To keep under control, usually in the police station. The suspect has been detained. The political leader has been detained. So not relevant in this context. Answer is the exact meaning of the word preclude, prevent. First option, which one says that? The third option is the answer. To prevent, here it's a bit difficult in the sense, the fifth option says none. Imagine this option is not there. In spoiling, you can be damn sure it is not correct. At detaining, you can be damn sure it is not correct. But prevent, yes, you will go for the word to prevent, it means to preclude. But unfortunately, the fifth option says none. Then you got to know the meaning of the word preclude. Only then you can decide that one. Otherwise, not practically possible. Now, questions 61 to 65, para jumbles. As I said the other day, usually to handle one para jumble, it is not easy under pressure. But here you have to handle 5 para jumbles. See how they are trying to test your patience. They are trying to test your stress levels. They are trying to test how fast you can read. In this context, I would like to tell you guys, if you take average speed of reading, that is 200 words per minute. Speed readers, 600 words per minute. What is average speed? 200 words per minute. And what is fast readers, their speed? 600 words per minute. But when it comes to, when I say average speed of reading, it comes to casual reading of the newspaper, casual reading of magazines, casual reading of storybooks. But exam point of view, it is not casual reading. It is serious reading. You have to read, understand, contemplate, answer the questions. Then the speed comes down. Then from the exam point of view, the average speed or required speed, I would like to say required speed should be 150 words per minute. When I say this, you should know your speed. You have to find out your speed. And next time, you have to handle the questions based on your speed. Now, generally speaking, one para jumble is very tough. Here you have to handle 5 para jumbles, each one for 1 mark. Usually, one para jumble for 5 marks. Here, 5 para jumbles for 5 marks. You will be under tremendous pressure. But that is a game. You have to read quickly, meticulously, and try to get a maximum. That is what you have to remember. I will give the answer, then I will tell why it is right. Question number 61, BDAC is the answer. To save time, because this paper, it takes a lot of time to give the meanings of all the 100 words. First one is B. Now, this is correct already. What do the instructions tell? In each of the following questions, a sentence has been split into 5 parts denoted by 1, A, B, C, and D. 1 is correct, you don't have to touch that. You have to arrange or rearrange the 4 parts A, B, C, and D to get the correct order. So let us take this one for granted. 1, you don't have to touch. There is, ask the question, what? There is, I said the first option is the answer. There is abatement of a toxic productivity whereby our universities churn out youth. B is the first one and D is the second one. Churn out means they produce so many youngsters, youth with a poor grasp of the subject matter that they are expected to know. Second one is D. And AC, the third one is A. And even poorer understanding of the challenges that India today faces. And what is the last one? For which they alone can provide the solutions. The answer here, the first option is the answer. If you ask me, sir, how to get under pressure, first there is a verb here, ask the question, object, subject, verb, object, typical pattern in English. Ask the question, there is what? There is abatement of toxic productivity, whereby our universities churn out youth. What sort of youth? With a poor grasp of the subject matter that they are expected to know, and an even more emphatic, poorer understanding of the challenges that India today faces, for which they alone can provide the solutions. Not easy, but you should give it a try at the back end of the session. What is answer 62? DBAC. The third option is the answer. Most of these tales usually stories, tales, fables, mythology, we use the word feature. They talk about something, they feature. What are the feature? That's why we say feature film. Most of these tales feature a hero king's quest. Quest means continuous search for something of a higher order, not the simple thing, higher order. Quest for excellence, a typical combination, quest for excellence. Most of these tales, means stories, feature a hero king's quest. Quest means search for union with supreme truth, and transcendent means supernatural, something that is not regular, not normal, something that is spiritual or philosophical. And transcendent beauty. The next one is B, DB. Beauty embodied means embedded, included in the text by a woman of unparalleled physical beauty. DB. What is the third one? A. And the difficulty of navigating the contradictory pulls. Contradictory pulls, what are they? The last one is C. What is C here? Of the spiritual and worldly domains. This is the order. It talks about a contradictory situation. Most of these tales mean stories, feature a hero king's quest for what? For union with supreme truth and transcendent beauty, embodied in the text by a woman of unparalleled physical beauty, and the difficulty of navigating the contradictory pulls. Pulls of what? The spiritual and worldly domains, means spheres or areas. This is a little philosophical, not easy to answer. If a what? 63, the answer is the fifth option, no arrangement required. If a political movement is successful in tapping deep structures of sentiment, tap means exploit, to harness, to exploit. Exploit, a positive connotation. It has both a positive connotation and a negative connotation. If a political movement is successful in tapping deep structures of sentiment in a society, these sentiments must already be there, lurking under the skin. Lurk means to be in ambush, hide and be ready to attack. Lurking under the skin of a shallow modernity expected to usher in a secular age. Usher, you have got this word already. The mark of something that is going to start, something that is going to begin. We also use the word herald. What is the other word for that? Herald. Usher. Usher in. Another meaning of the word usher, usherer. When you go to the theater, it is very dark or dim. Then there is a person with a torchlight or a flashlight. He takes you to your seat. He shows the way. That person is called usherer. A different meaning altogether. And this is an important word, secular. Today, if you take the Indian Constitution, the preamble says, India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Means what? Secular. No official religion. Respecting all religions. Question number 64, the fourth option is the answer. CABD. Ptolemy had worked out. After the helping verb, you need a verb in the past participle. This is rather easy, based on grammar knowledge. So C is the first one. Worked out a geocentric system of brilliant geometric precision. But this system, contrasting information, but this system of interlocking orbits grew ever more complex as astronomers strained to make more modern observations fit a mistaken theory. And what is the last one? And in the 16th century, because of that, in the mistaken theory, because of that, in the 16th century, the theory began to fall under attack. Answer is the fourth option. Not easy. You should have an idea about the context. Only then you can answer. 65, the second option is the answer. The partition which led to the partition at the time of independence. The context is that the partition which led to one of the biggest mass migrations in world history, D, and C, and to the death of, which led to one of the biggest mass migrations in the world, one thing, and the second thing, and to the death of an estimated 1 million people, C is the second one, or more, or after that, or more. That is a line of continuity. Or more, that means what is the third sentence? B is the third sentence. Or more, 1 million people or more on both sides of the border is one of the most debated issues among historians. So here all this is related to the partition. What is the subject here? Partition. And what is the verb? Is one of the most, the partition is one of the most debated issues among historians. A is the last one. Which partition which led to one of the biggest mass migrations in the world history and to the death of an estimated 1 million people or more on both sides of the border. All these words go with the subject partition. And do remember, whenever you come across lengthy sentences, you have to be very careful and you have to divide the sentence. First you have to identify the subject, then the verb, then the object. Then you have to divide the sentence into based on the phrases and clauses. Usually, lengthy sentences have at least one or two phrases and one or two clauses. Then you should know what a phrase is, what a clause is, and you have to separate. Then take each phrase and each clause and try to spot the error. That is one of the techniques I usually tell my students. Now we'll go to the passage, 66 to 75. This passage, difficult and time-taking, in my opinion, because it's a very tough passage, the toughest rather I have ever seen, because you need to have biology background, one thing, and not easy to understand within, usually I tell students to allot 5 minutes to read the passage, to answer the questions 3 minutes, not more than 8 minutes for the passage. In 5 minutes, not practically possible to read, understand, answer the questions. Then you may ask, sir, what are we supposed to do whenever we come across a tough passage? Better you don't go for the questions related to comprehension, but do read the passage. Read quickly, get an idea what it is about, then go to the questions related to the meanings of words based on the context. Take each word, read the sentence, the context, understand the context, try to answer. This passage also, though it is a tough passage, you can answer, you can get 3 or 4 marks and the questions related to vocabulary. Comprehension, not practically possible. If you get, it will be a big surprise. I don't want to read the passage today. It's a very complex passage related to caffeine and chemicals, impact of these chemicals on the nervous system, on neurons, but I will tell the meanings of some important words. Stimulant. If you take the subject of psychology, they use 2 words, stimulus, response, SR. Stimulus means something that causes some sort of reaction or response either in a person, usually in a person, or an animal. The stimulant in coffee that stimulates, creates, causes some sort of reaction. Inhibiting, you all must be knowing this word. Inhibit means what? To prevent. That is an easy word. But to talk about the gist of the passage, this passage is all about the theory, a new theory given by Snyder et al. Et al. Means others. Snyder and others. That's what it means. Snyder, Daly, and Bruns. These scientists have proposed that caffeine affects behavior by countering the activity in the human brain of a naturally occurring chemical called adenosine. It's all about chemistry, biochemistry, not easy to understand for a non-biology student, but in a nutshell, the passage is about 3 scientists who have proposed a new theory and they try to substantiate by giving some sort of evidence, and the questions are based on the theory, the background information, and to what extent it is right, to what extent it can be justified, all the questions. Questions, 1 or 2 questions are rather easy to answer, but you need to read very fast and comprehend the passage, only then you can answer. Attribute, this is an important word. Credit the work to someone. Tomorrow you get selected on the stage you give a speech and you talk about your success, you may say something like, I attribute my success to my parents. Remember the sentence. I attribute my success to my parents. Top priority. After that, you can talk about the masters if you wish and others if you wish. But don't forget to mention your parents. Your success, you can attribute your success to your parents. Means you give the credit to your parents. An important word you have to use sooner or later. Prolonged, an important word. Extended. Extended. Prolonged means what? Extend. This session will get prolonged because of 100 effective words. A tough paper. Never seen a paper like this. With 100 words, I have to tell the meanings. It is an uphill task. Buttress, that is an important word, but it doesn't look like a word that goes with effective English. Buttress means reinforce. Reinforce. Reinforce means to strengthen, to support, to consolidate. Buttress their case, reinforce their case, support their case. Correlate means to provide, relate. Correlate means relate or to get related to something. We use the word correlate with the ability to stimulate. Relate to the ability to stimulate. One of the meanings, correlation, similarity, another meaning of that. Stumbling block, stumble, one meaning hesitate, another meaning prevent, another meaning to trip. Trip means to hit a stone and you fall forward. Then we use the word expression trip over a stone. And stumble also means hesitate while speaking. But here stumbling block, an impediment, something that stops to their hypothesis. Now let us have a look at the questions. Question number 66. The primary purpose of the passage is to. As I said, this passage is all about the theory of Snyder and et al. Means what? Others. So answer is the fourth option. Describe an alternative hypothesis and provide evidence and arguments that support it. Usually scientists, they say something and they try to provide the evidence. Only then it becomes science. And this passage is all about their hypothesis and they attempt to provide evidence and arguments that support it. All said and done, not easy to answer. Question number 67. Which of the following, if true? This is purely based on CAT model. Since 2016, I have been telling my students, 2016 SBI came out with an unexpected paper, shocking paper, new pattern, new models. Many candidates were taken aback and that CAT model. What do the letters stand for? Common Admission Test. Since 2016, I have been telling my students to have a look at CAT guides. Not to go through the questions to get an idea about the models. Today we talk about new patterns, new models. They're nothing but CAT models, CAT patterns. Once you spend some time on these CAT guides, you get a fair idea about the models, then it becomes easy for you to handle the questions in the exam. But you're not prepared, then you get stressed out. So this is purely based on CAT model. If true, assumption. Which of the following, if true, would most weaken the theory proposed by Cinder et al.? There is one sentence in the paragraph or passage. You can see here, yellow color. Cinder et al. Proposed that caffeine, which is structurally similar to adenosine, is able to bind to both types of receptors, which prevents adenosine from attaching there and allows the neurons to fire more readily than otherwise would. This is a clue for you. More readily than they otherwise would. What is the fourth option? What does the fourth option talk about? It is the concentration of caffeine required to dislodge adenosine from its receptors in the human brain is much greater than the concentration that produces behavioral stimulation in humans. This is not true. If it is true, it goes against, it weakens their theory. So answer is the fourth option, but not easy to make out. The next one, 68. According to Snyder et al., caffeine differs from adenosine in that caffeine. Answer is again, this is rather easy if you read and understand. Permits release of neurotransmitters when it is bound to adenosine receptors, whereas adenosine inhibits such release. Caffeine permits release of neurotransmitters that activates. Then opposite, adenosine, what does it do? It inhibits. That way, caffeine differs from adenosine in that. This is the answer. If you read the passage, you understand, you comprehend. That question is not difficult. What is the answer for question number 69? The answer is the first option. In response to experimental results concerning IBMX, Snyder et al. Contended that it is not uncommon for psychoactive drugs to have. Now, there is one sentence in the passage. You can see here, yellow color. One of these was a compound called 3-isobutyl methylxanthine IBMX, which bound very well but actually depressed mouse locomotion. Here it talks about a contrasting information, contrasting result. So when we have positive results as well as negative results, we use the expression mixed effects, mixed feelings. Sometimes you're happy, you're not happy at the same time. You're happy about something, at the same time you're not happy about something. Then what do you say? I have mixed feelings towards the session. Then mixed effects in the brain, positive and negative. Based on that, the answer is the first option, is the answer. Question number 70, very difficult to answer, and the passage suggests that Snyder et al. Believed that if the older theory concerning caffeine's effects were correct, which of the following would have to be the case? All neurotransmitters would increase the short-term concentration of cyclic AMP in target neurons. That is not correct. Substances other than caffeine that inhibit the production of psychodiesterase would be stimulants. This is, you can consider. All concentration levels of caffeine that are high enough to produce stimulation would also inhibit the production of phosphodiesterase. This also you could consider. So 2 and 3 only. Answer is the fourth option, but not easy. Within the stipulated time period of 5 minutes, practically impossible. But here I would like to say something. Do remember, prelims, I'll talk from prelims point of view, 30 questions, then you can convert that to 40. You cannot get all the 30 correct. First, you take it for granted. Don't be too ambitious. And if you ask me, so what is the ideal score for selection? I don't talk in terms of prelims, mains. From the selection point of view, the ideal score out of 30, you should get in the range of 18 and 21. Out of 30, 18, 60%, 21, 70%. That means what? 9 questions you can ignore, you can leave. You don't have to answer all the 30 questions. Out of 30, if you get 21, nothing like that, you should be very happy. 9 questions you can afford to leave. That means you come across tough questions, intentionally, deliberately. They make some questions very difficult to answer within the stipulated time period. You can answer, if you get 10 minutes or 15 minutes for each question, you can easily answer, but you don't get so much time. That way they're very difficult. So first you should have the ability to make out whether to touch a particular question or not. There are some questions you have to touch, there are some questions you should not touch. And sometimes the passage easy, sometimes the passage tough. Whenever you come across a tough passage, do remember the questions related to comprehension rather easy. Tough passage, lengthy passage. Still you are not confident, you are rather diffident. Then you leave all the 5 questions related to the passage, but answer the questions related to vocabulary. That way you can get 5 marks. You completely ignore the passage, then you lose 5 precious marks, which is not a good thing. Today the competition is so severe that 1 mark also matters. I know some of the students, they got eliminated, 0.25 marks also. Very close. So don't take any chances. Tough passage, read quickly, try to answer the questions related to vocabulary. Question number 71. I've been getting calls. So, question number 71. According to Snyder et al., all of the following compounds can bind to specific receptors in the brain except. Answer is phosphodiesterase. That is an enzyme. It is an enzyme, so it does not bind. All these compounds can bind to specific receptors in the brain except. Answer is the 5th option. But this is again purely biochemistry, not easy to. Snyder et al. Suggests that caffeine's ability to bind to A1 and A2 receptors can be at least partially attributed to which of the following? Here, the answer is the third option, the structural similarity between caffeine and neurotransmitters. Let me check the options. No, the second option is the answer. The structural relationship between caffeine and adenosine. They have the same structure. Because of that structural relationship or similarity, they can bind to the receptors. Otherwise, not practically possible. Adenosine can bind. Caffeine also has a similar structure. Whatever adenosine binds to, the same thing caffeine also binds to. So there is a structural relationship or similarity between these two. Answer is the second option. Now questions are easy. What is the most opposite in meaning to the word inhibiting? What is the meaning of inhibit? To block, to prevent, to stop, hurdle. All these words you have to recollect. Ear splitting, too loud. Ear splitting means what? Too loud. Perpetually. Perpetually means what? Forever. Encouraging, easy word. Unruffled, not agitated. Not agitated. Extinguishing, this goes with fire. Fire extinguish. There is an expression, fire extinguishers, noun form. And here answer is inhibit, to block, prevent. What is opposite? He wants the opposite. Opposite is encouraging. That's an easy one. Most similar in meaning, dislodge. Lodge has many meanings. Here it means position. Dislodge, change the position. Displace. Distraught means disturbed and disappointed, dejected, not relevant here, don't consider. Disagree, not correct. Dissect, dissection. This goes with biology students at the time of +2 or graduation. They dissect the animals to find out the internal body parts, to study the internal systems and body parts. Not relevant here. Disarrange, not correct. What is the answer? Dislodge means displace, because he wants a similar meaning. Stumble, I said stumble means to block, to prevent. Hesitate. Here savage. Savage means what? Barbaric, uncivilized, animal-like. All these words you have to recollect. And censuring means criticizing. Hesitate. I said stumble means one of the meanings, hesitate. Hold that one. Remedying, remedial. Remedy means what? Solution. Denounce means what? To condemn publicly. Not accept, not approve. Condemn publicly. Denounce. So what is the answer here? Stumble means hesitate. I will give the meanings, all these words. You don't have to worry about the meanings. Now 76 to 85, Cloze test. Moderate. I can say easy also. You can easily get 7 or 8. Should not be a problem. In the following passage, there are blanks, each of which has been numbered. These numbers are printed below the passage, and against each, 5 words are suggested, one of which fits the blank appropriately. Find out the appropriate word in each case. Typical same pattern, not a new pattern. The context is oil prices. First, you should understand the context. As international oil prices head higher, they go up, that means something negative. India will have to, an obligation imposed by a situation, but that refers to future. Will have to itself, a dynamic means active. A dynamic, opposite, not relevant here. Aegis means under the support of, generally we use the expression, under the aegis of, under the support of, under the sponsorship of. You can think of those words, not relevant here. Will have to backward, not correct. Will have to armor. Armor goes with soldiers. In the past, they would cover the body with metal coverings. We use the word armor for that, shields. And brace. Brace means get prepared. Answer is, will have to brace itself for the economic risks. Get prepared for the risks. Answer is the 5th option. Elimination approach as well as grammar knowledge, but contextual awareness is very important. The rise in international prices has been particularly sharp given that oil had been selling at below $45 in June. This is a rally of about 55% in a matter of just months. Oil price have often been. Oil price barricade. We cannot use the word barricade here. Barricade, usually it goes with police. They want to block a particular way. They use a barricade. And redoubt, not relevant here. We need a plural noun. What is the reason? Have often been explained. This is singular, rampart, not at all relevant here. Rampart means the wall, high wall of a fort or a building, usually a fort. Generally at the time of independence, the Prime Minister talks from the ramparts of the Red Fort, the walls of the Red Fort, high walls of the Red Fort. Protection, not relevant. Only one word is in the plural form. Which one is that? Dynamics. That is the answer. Oil price dynamics, that's an expression, combination, collocation. Oil price dynamics have often been explained by changes in the supply outlook. Supply outlook, palisade, that means a wall. Parapet, this also means a wall. Palisade, one of the meanings, it means, give me a minute, fence. Palisade means fence. Parapet wall, usually it goes with buildings, balcony, you have a parapet wall, a short wall. And Bastille, I have to check this one, influence, not correct, finished. Here, supply outlook, influenced by decisions of, what is the clue for you? Decisions of. Influenced by the decisions of major oil producers. Answer is the fourth option. Oil trading at $70 should offer some, 70 on the higher side, should offer some. Bastion means a stronghold of something, usually military. Consummate means perfect, flawless. Native, a respite, a resume. Here, a resume has two different meanings. One is, it goes with your resume, a candidate's resume, but actual word, resume, French word, then you have to use two strokes. And you have to pronounce, what are you supposed to say? Resume. But American English, resume, we don't say resume, we say resume. And we don't use the strokes. That is one meaning. And what is the other meaning of the word resume? To restart. I started my work, I stopped for tea, and after the tea break, I resumed my work. I restarted my work. Not relevant, not relevant. Native also not relevant. Respite. Oil trading at $70 should offer some respite. Respite means relief, break, to traditional oil producers like the OPEC members, which have suffered of US shale producers. Suffered something negative. Bulwark means again a wall. Conclude, easy word. National, not relevant here. Restart, not relevant here. Answer is the fifth option, onslaught. Onslaught means attack, a strong attack. They suffered, OPEC members suffered. Why? Onslaught of US shale producers. Shale producers, their onslaught affected the OPEC members. So oil trading at $70, it has gone up, should offer some respite, relief, or break to traditional oil producers like the OPEC members, which have suffered the onslaught of US shale producers. Onslaught means severe attack. No blanks over here. To save time, I will not read out. The retail selling price of both petrol and diesel in Delhi, for instance, has risen by close to $3 a litre since the buttress to reinforce, already have got this word, beginning, hold that one, preserving of 2018, not correct. Preserve means to maintain. Same situation or same thing, local, not relevant, completing, not relevant. Since the beginning of 2018, since the beginning of the century, since the beginning of the 21st century, typical expressions. The rise in domestic fuel prices is on expected lines given the policy of dynamic daily pricing of petrol and diesel by the center. Petrol and diesel, munitions, it goes with ammunition, arms, defense related, ammunition, guns and all, not relevant here. Deterrence, deter, prevent, discourage, not hold that one. Endured, withstand. Endure means withstand suffering, hardship, problem, not relevant, not relevant. Adopted by the center, seems right. Immunity, not relevant here. Policy, policy of dynamic daily pricing of petrol and diesel. Don't consider the phrase, the policy adopted by the center. That is the answer. But as rising oil prices put pressure on domestic consumers, the government will have to, so many times the expression will have to fortress. This goes with related to a fort, a strong structure, fortification, making something very strong. Dike means a wall. Continue. Desist. Desist means abstain. Desist, abstain, to stay away. This is the answer. Will have to desist from what? Garrison. Garrison also goes with military. The meaning of the word garrison, something like support, getting the support. One of the meanings, and also it means military base, getting the support from the military. Military base, not relevant here. Restoring, from restoring, resorting to subsidies. This seems right, hold this one. Desist, abstain from resorting to, take to some action. Generally, if you read the newspapers, whenever there is a problem, clashes, then we use the expression, the crowd resorted to arson. Means what? They took to, or the crowd resorted to violence. So this is the right word. Frustrate, to get irritated, annoyed, agitated, not correct. Withholding subsidies. Will have to desist from withholding subsidies. No, resorting to subsidies to ease the pain. Withholding is not correct. Fence is not relevant here. So what is the answer? Will have to desist, abstain from resorting to subsidies to ease the pain. It should work towards rationalizing taxes on petrol and diesel to bring down retail prices. The last blank. This will help consumers without an undue burden on the oil marketing companies. This will help consumers without embankment. This also means a wall, a strong wall. So many words related to the military, defense. All these words go with military and defense services. Imposing an undue burden. Impose, to force, to thrust upon. Citadel, this also means a very strong building. So not relevant here. Refusing, no. Deny, to refuse, no. What is the answer? This will help consumers without imposing an undue burden on the oil marketing companies. An interesting passage, should get about 5 or 6, 7 or 8 also possible. Now phrases, this is a new pattern. It is actually, now you come across something like swap, word swapping. Here it is like phrase swapping. Means what? Change the position. Not exactly. When two things we use the word swap, but here 3. Let me read the instructions. You don't find the instructions, but you can have a look at this. Get the correct order of the phrases in bold to make the sentence, grammatically and meaningfully correct. Moderate can answer 2 or 3, should not be a problem. So what is the answer? Question number 86. 86, to save time, I will just tick the option first, BCA. Let us go with that and cross-check. India has an estimated 13 million child laborers. The United Nations quotes that nearly 8 million children, B should be here, of this country, 8 million children of this country have never been to school. So B comes here. Then what is the next one? While 80 million dropouts are completing basic schooling. That alone is not the. Then you have to bring the C, third part. That alone is not the extent of the deprivation. Extent of deprivation, full stop. Even after begging on the streets throughout the day and sweating out in a factory, nearly 1/3 of the child laborers go to sleep on an empty stomach every night. So what is the answer here? BCA. Of this country, B is the first one, and extent of the deprivation, second one, and the last one, on the street, begging on the streets. Question number 87, answer is CBA. How does it go? It becomes what? Well, to keep up, it becomes comparison with, it becomes convenient to understand the prospects of. First one should be C. It becomes convenient to understand the prospects of India's tourism after explaining the existing position of its growth in comparison with other countries. In comparison with other countries, nothing wrong, you don't have to touch that one. So second B is correct. Since the 1990s, during the current period of its development, South Asia, to which our country belongs, has not done that well to keep up its share in the tourist market of the world. A is a, you have to replace. So what is the answer? CBA, that is the answer. 88, BAC is the answer. How does it go? Hand drumming can alter your response to stress at a genomic level. Playing a hand drum, first one is B, engages. Playing a hand drum does what? Engages the creative and intuitive right side. Intuitive means instinctive. Intuitive right side of your brain, and it shifts the pressure from the critical thinking left brain. Then you have to use the first one, A. So after an intense, this should come in the second place, an intense day at work, the drum can physiologically relax and what? Here you have to use refuel you for the next day. You don't have to touch the third part. All that you have to do, B go to the first position, A comes to the second position, C you don't have to touch, and the answer is the second option. 89, ACB is the answer. A you don't have to touch. We are fond of malls, which could be emulating. Emulate means imitate. In social role that places of worship historically played. No need to touch. They are now the places where different generations meet, eat, and meditate. While the consumer goods displayed in store windows play the role of beckoning deities. Deities means gods and goddesses we pray. So what is the answer? This is rather easy. A, C, B. You don't have to touch A. C, B, you have to replace. Question number 90, CAB, fourth option. Fire walking refers to the activity of walking on hot coals, rocks, or cinder. And C, without burning the soles of one's foot. That seems right. In some cultures, fire walking is a part of religious ritual, while in others, it is presumably, here it should be A, considered as a confidence-building activity. That seems right. Walking on hot coals without getting burned does seem impossible to many people. But in fact, there is a scientific explanation for why fire walking is possible. Presumably, now what are you left with? B. Fire walking tap into mysterious human capabilities. So answer is CAB. That's all about today's paper. Now take a break for 5 minutes. This is part 1. After 5 minutes, I will spend time on about 100 words from this mock test paper. Very useful, effective words, and let us see how much time it is going to take. Thank you very much. Now part 2, already analysis part is over. This session is all about, the part 2 is all about the important words from the mock test 14635. I will start with the first one, steeped. The word steep has 2 different meanings. One is sharp. Usually it goes with steep increase in the prices. It goes with valleys, mountains, steep mountains, steep valleys. But another meaning, to stay. Steeped in some belief, stay in some belief. That's an important word. Prejudice, you get quite often, the word prejudice means what? Bias, important word. Stereotype, 2 different meanings. One meaning, a widely held idea. Another meaning, something that is repeated. It goes with, this meaning goes with actors and actresses. He always goes for stereotype acting. Means what? He always does stereotype acting. His acting is stereotype. Same, no change at all. Parochialism, narrow outlook, that's an important word. Bigotry, intolerance towards religious ideas, others' beliefs. This is again an important word. Hike, hike goes with everyday English. It means increase. Hike in prices, hike in petrol prices. Exodus, right now this word is in the limelight. Syrian crisis, exodus of Syrians from their country to European countries. Mass migration, do remember the word exodus, mass migration. Catalyst is a word that goes with chemistry or biochemistry. Changing agent, some substance that causes change, we use the word catalyst. Enviable, inducing jealous. Envy means jealous. Enviable, inducing jealous, causing jealous. Unenviable means not in that position. And there's one idiomatic expression, you have to recollect that one. A person with jealous, a lot of jealous, what is the idiomatic expression? Green-eyed monster. Green-eyed monster means full of jealous. Analogous, comparable. Genealogy, it goes with genetics, biology, science, means descent, related to heredity, line of heredity, descent from one generation to another generation. Abolition, this is a regular word you come across in the newspapers quite often. Abolish, abolition, to end something. Bewitching, an important word. Enchanting, attracting, appealing. You have to recollect all these words. Declining, important word. Reducing. Her confidence has started declining, means what? Reducing. The numbers have started declining, reducing. Captivating, a positive meaning as well as a negative meaning. Captivating, interesting. Muster, gather or assemble, important word. Panhandling, a new word. Beg in the street. Someone begs in the street, usually we say they are begging in the street. Obviously they beg in the street. But there's another word, not a regular word, panhandling. Entangled, this goes with fishing, nets, and a difficult situation. Involved in difficulties and not able to come out of the difficulties or problems, then we say, she has been entangled in a lot of problems. He has been entangled in financial problems. I cannot give the examples, though I want to. If I give the examples, definitely that will help you in the long run. But because of the time constraint, I can tell the meaning. I can only stop, give a few examples, talk about the combinations. But what you have to do, after the session, take each word, try to remember the meaning, get the part of speech, and try to make your own examples which are real and practical, and try to use mnemonics to remember all these words. Try to associate, try to create some acronyms, abbreviations. Otherwise, after 1 or 2 days, you forget. Preclude, prevent. Detain, to hold back. This goes with police. Abetment, it goes with crime. Encourage in crime, assist in crime. Abetment, abet someone. Embodied, again important word, included. Quest, long search for something of a higher value or quality, not a simple thing. Quest for excellence, quest for success. Transcendent, surpassing, beyond the normal, beyond the natural, something spiritual, something philosophical, something related to, beyond a person can understand. Transcendent, important word. Lurking, quite often you come across this word. Remaining hidden. Ambush, there's another word, ambush, means what? Hide somewhere and be ready to attack. Lurk means remain hidden, and when the time comes it may come out. Then lurking, the danger is lurking, means the danger is there, it is hidden. Any moment, in a way it is latent, any moment it may come out. Tap, as a noun you all know the word. Tap, open the tap, close the tap. But here it is a verb. Tap the resources, exploit the resources, harness the resources. Secular, an important word. Today we say India is a secular country. And this word has been in the limelight because today we have two major parties. One is a secular party, the other is a religious party. Congress is considered a secular party. BJP is considered a religious party. Secular means no official religion, respecting all religions. Usher, an important word. Usher means mark the start of something, mark the beginning of something. For that we also use the word herald, H-E-R-A-L-D. Now we have words like stimulant, cause a response. A stimulant is something that causes response. And inhibiting, blocking, easy word. Attributed. I attribute my success to my parents. Remember that sentence? I want you guys to use that in the near future. Buttress, reinforce, nothing to do with butter. Buttress, careful with spelling. Reinforce. Correlate, relate. Prolonged, extended. The meeting got prolonged. The session got prolonged. Today's session has got prolonged, means extended. Why? Because of about 100 effective words. Unruffled. Ruffled means disturbed, agitated. Opposite, unruffled means not agitated, not disturbed. Ear-splitting noise means what? Loud noise. And perpetually, forever. Extinguishing, to put out fire, it goes with fire. And stumbling means what? Hesitant, one meaning, to hesitate. Stumble is quite natural. But some people, they take some time to speak. We say they hesitate to speak, they stumble. And while speaking, sometimes what happens, you cannot say a few words properly. That is again quite natural. Because of pressure, because of tension, because of thinking of something else that happens. It happens to news readers also. But for some people, they get stuck on a particular word, a particular sound. Then we use the word stammering or stuttering. Stumbling is different, stammering is different. Savage, a negative word. Barbaric, uncivilized, animal-like. Censuring, criticizing. Remedying, remedy, solution, providing solution. Denounce, declare to be wrong or condemn publicly. A dynamic, not dynamic. Aegis, backing, under the aegis of, under the support of, under the backing of, under the sponsorship of. You have to think of all these things. Armor, this goes with the medieval times English. Metal coverings worn by the soldiers, not relevant now. Brace, brace means be prepared. Brace for any eventuality. Brace for the calamity. Be prepared for the calamity. Barricade, barrier. This you come across regularly. Dynamics. Dynamic means active. Dynamics of the market means certain things keep changing regularly. Then we say the dynamics of the market. They go with the price. The price is going up, coming down, all those things. Rampart. Defensive wall. Fort, we use the word rampart. The ramparts of the Red Fort. Hesitate. Take time to speak or do something. Munitions. You remember the word ammunition. Ammunition related to weapons, guns and weapons. From that you can recollect this word. Munitions, weaponries, weapons related to weapons, guns, all that. Deter, you have got this word many a time. Deterrence, discouragement. Deter means what? Prevent or discourage. Endured, endure means withstand. Resilient, be resilient to face a particular problem. Endured the problems, endured the hardships. Garrison, military base. Resort, turn to. They have resorted to violence, means they have turned to violence. The crowd has resorted to violence, a typical expression in the newspapers. Frustrate, irritate, agitate, annoy. When you come across a paper like this, I'm sure you get frustrated. This paper is really frustrating. Imagine a paper like this in the real exam. You cannot manage and you get frustrated, you get irritated. There will be a frown on your face throughout the time, throughout the session. Because so many words, and many of these words are not easy. Only those who are extremely good at English can say, I know all these words. If they say 80%, they know 80%, that itself is highly appreciable. Palisade means fence. Parapet, this goes with everyday English, parapet wall, protective wall usually. Balcony, when you go to the balcony, you have a wall, that is called parapet wall. Bastion, an important word, stronghold. The bastion of the Congress party, the bastion of the BJP party, the stronghold of a particular party, a particular constituency. Delhi is the bastion of a particular party. Right now it is Aam Aadmi Party. Consummate, an important word. Flawless, perfect, outstanding. Preserving, maintaining. Fortress, military stronghold. And fortification, protection, related words. A lot of words related to defense. Dike also means wall. It could be D-I or D-Y. Either way the word is right. Desist, abstain, an important word. Embankment, again a dam, a protection, a wall. All these words could be recollected. Impose, force, thrust upon, imposing, forcing. Deny, refuse, everyday English. She denied or he denied, refused. Intuitive, instinctive. Something tells you this is right, this is wrong. Then we use the word intuition, intuitive, instinctive. No reason behind, but you feel something is good or bad. Then we say intuition. My intuition says it is not good, it is not advisable to go out. Envisage, an important word. Visualize or foresee. Deprive, usually it goes with food, rights, privileges. It goes with downtrodden people. The downtrodden people are deprived of the fundamental rights or the basic amenities. Prevent from having. Prospects, forecast, the chances, the prospects of winning the match are bright. Means the chances are bright. Emulate, an important word. Imitate. Beckoning, you've got this, I think you got day for yesterday. Beckon. Ask someone to come near you using your head or gestures, body language. Deities, gods or goddesses, god or goddess. Deity, singular, deities, plural. Presume, believe something to be true. You believe that something is true, then we use the word presume. Beckon, important word. Deity goes with religion and culture. Presume, believe something to be true. Citadel, a fortress. All these words go with medieval times English. We don't use in the modern times. But when it comes to education, the citadels of higher education, it means the places of higher education. Today we say the citadels of higher education are in the US. The best universities are in the US, so it has a different connotation. But otherwise the word goes with medieval times. Onslaught, an important word. Fierce attack. Onslaught of shale producers in the passage. Respite, break. Also something you can relax, the time you can relax, respite. Native, that's an easy word, but I wanted you guys to learn. These two words are very important. Aboriginal, indigenous. Aboriginals, indigenous people means what? Native people or local people. A resume, one meaning, you all know resume, resume, about yourself, the information in brief, resume. But here, another meaning, to restart. Resume the work, resume the meeting, resume the session. Bulwark, not a regular word, defensive wall. Again, this passage, a lot of words go with defense, medieval times. A very challenging paper. This paper, testing, challenging, a little irritating. If you get 20 plus, it is outstanding. You should be very happy. But do remember, if the paper is tough, it is tough for everyone. You have to give your best shot. That's all for today. Thank you very much.